Welcome to At the Forefront Fintech Conversations. My name is Eric Soderberg. I'm a managing partner here at Forefront. And with me today is Michael Kingsley, Senior Vice President, head of our media relations practice, and also the person who champions our media training. And that term media training is something we use sort of loosely around here at Forefront. Would you please let people know why we use that term?
Sure. Media training is the term a lot of people recognize, but for us that incorporates media training, presentation training, public speaking exercises. We've trained people to host podcasts. We've trained people to be on panels and to moderate panels. So basically any function where you're going to be speaking publicly or internally is something that we prepare people for.
So I think most people assume when they hear media training, we're talking about training executives for that opportunity to talk to the press or talk to the media. I think we look at it a little bit differently than that. Can you talk about who this training is really for?
It's really for everyone at the company. Anybody who has an outward-facing role, anybody who's going to be speaking internally. We do a lot of training for sales folks, sort of a program where they speak to close the deal and that sort of thing. We've trained engineers who are giving presentations, who are speaking for the first time, and then we do refreshers with C-suite folks who are very versed in speaking publicly.
When it comes to the training itself, are we talking about speak slowly, watch your ums and ahs, put your hands in certain positions, or is it that and more?
Well, let's not make ourselves too conscious while we're doing this about it. But absolutely, there's a little bit of that as it comes up. I just did an right there. As it comes up, we'll identify it. But the most important thing we work on in these sessions is really keeping you focused on your messaging. We've developed messaging for our clients, or some clients come in with messaging that's developed, and the idea is to get everybody to stay on the same message, be speaking in an impactful and memorable way so that everybody across the company is telling the same story. That's what we really focus on.
That sounds great. And I'm curious, has media training changed much over the years? I mean, you'd be on the telephone or maybe in person, you'd speak to somebody. That's not the world we live in anymore. Tell me a little bit about how the landscape has changed for this sort of training.
There's two big things that have changed. The financial crisis changed how a lot of people view going to these events. Used to be, before the financial crisis, everybody went to every event. The content didn't matter. You were talking with everybody. Now people are really at pains to justify their budgets and their spends. And the content has to be great. It has to be impactful. If you're going to be invited back to a panel, if the people are going to remember you. The other thing that's changed a lot is we all have one of these in our pocket, and it's a huge distraction. So your audience is going to tune out very quickly if you're not doing what you need to be doing to keep their attention. If you're doing a virtual presentation, the other screen is always open with people checking emails. So you really have to compete with that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And how about when should people get training, do you think?
Well, right now. If you have anything coming up, obviously, if you have a sales presentation coming up, or you're going to be speaking to investors or something, of course, that's a great time. But the thing about public speaking is you never know when you're going to need it. You're going to be needing to speak internally and communicate. You have people across the enterprise who are going to be speaking. So the time is now, and then you only get more practiced. I mean, in these sessions, we say practice, practice, practice. So if you're only just bootstrapping this up a week before your event, that's great. It's going to help you, but it's better to get these skills in and then refresh them from time to time.
Sounds good. And how do you address, I mean, I know we run into this often, the executive or the head of biz dev who says, look, I don't need training. I'm perfectly good with this stuff. I'm very comfortable. Don't worry about me.
I can just tell you the experience we've had. Occasionally people will come in like that. For the most part, everybody sits down and it's kind of an open book and they say, let's do this. But we have had people come in who are sort of a little defiant. Usually they come out saying that was really impactful. Thank you for refreshing me on this. Thank you for giving me this sort of new framework. That's another thing we talk about more than ums and ahs, is a framework for thinking about what you're doing when you're speaking to the media or a presentation, so that afterwards you can go back and say, this is what I need to do better, and analyze your own performance, work with your comms department and so on to get it right.
Sounds great. Well, I think that's great. Well, thank you very much for that overview. for the listeners here, if you think this could work for you in any way, shape, or form, please visit our website at www.forefrontcoms.com and look for our media training and give us a buzz. Happy to help. Thank you very much, and thank you, Michael, for today's episode.
Thanks for interviewing me.